got? We talked a lot yesterday.
Yeah, I got two things. Was Eric Daly really here at 6 a.m. yesterday?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
I was not, so.
Okay, but did you ask him to come in?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about
The
that?
technical.
Yeah. Well, that's that's a team thing. I thought we were off yesterday.
Okay.
So we were off yesterday. So that's a whole separate issue.
Okay. I think you went on the radio and said something about your brother was kidding with you. It was about time you got one of those game winners to go your way, and he said it was 10 in a row or something like that.
Yeah. Now you have to understand, I love my brother dearly. He'd take a bullet for me, but he's completely out of his mind, and we don't really ever speak on the phone.
Okay.
So, if he says something, it's probably greatly exaggerated.
Okay.
Although he's highly intelligent, he's So I dearly love him, but he doesn't. We don't converse about basketball.
Okay.
So if he said 10, it's probably 4 or 5.
Okay. But it feels like 10 probably, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been a lot. I had literally we had people. I'm the head coach of UCLA 6 years, and I had some of my friends from Cincinnati texting me. It's about time you wanted to. You had a buzzer shot. They've all gone against you. So, when you get those kind of texts, you start thinking about it. I don't remember the last time I won one of those.
Maybe Jaime. Can you think of one? Jaime against Arizona
Yeah, but
State.
that was a tie.
freshman.
Or Jalen Clark against
Jaime
USC?
was a tie game.
What about Jalen
It
Clark?
wasn't a buzzer shot.
Here a couple years
That
ago.
wasn't
he hit
a buzzer
3.
shot.
Okay.
He knows all of them.
Yeah, that wasn't a buzzer
Okay.
shot. Yeah. And Jaime, the game was tied, so I don't really count that.
What have you seen out of Arizona so far?
I obviously they've had a changing of the guard, so to speak. Since Coach Lloyd's been there, he had Ballo and Larson. Two guys that come to mind that just unbelievable. Especially Larson, just unbelievable winner. So they've had a change. They had a lot of change in their personnel, but they're still the same. Nothing really different as far as what they run offensively and the things that they do and how they play. They got a world of talent, but like the rest of us, you're trying to he's probably got 4 new starters, a multitude of new players, whether it's transfers or freshmen, and he played a brutal schedule early. Played a brutal schedule early. You had to play Duke, who you had beaten them the year before when you were the veteran team. Had to play at Wisconsin, where people in the Big Ten say, "Good luck." So those are 2 tough ones. And then look, a West Coast team's going to play in the Bahamas. I don't really understand it. When even if you're flying on a 737, you got to stop for gas. It's such a long trip, so that's not an easy putt either. So I just think they played a really hard schedule for a team. When you have a new team and you've got to incorporate so many new pieces, they played a really hard schedule.
Are you seeing that a lot more, even over and above last year, when you're looking at teams and scouting, that they're tons of teams are really integrating a lot more starters than last?
That's just the new. Well, there's still a group out there. This is the last COVID year.
Yeah.
Right. This is the last COVID year. So there's still a bunch of teams out there with the 5th-year seniors. So there's some senior-laden teams out there. They're going to have to go through it next year. A lot of us, I went through it last year, and this year, Coach Lloyd's going through it at Arizona. So, but I think it's pretty much par for the course this year. But eventually you have to have too much turnover. I mean, it's going to happen too at some point. There's a lot of teams like that, and it's obviously, like I alluded to, in Arizona's case, when you're going through it, it's tough to play a brutal early schedule, and that because look, what's their record?
4-4.
Yeah, so you said they're 4-4, but metrically they're in the top 25. So it tells you they're a top 25 team. They've just played a brutal schedule.
Stylistically, are they similar to
same.
what they like to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exact same. Always a rim presence. big bodies around the rim. Always trying to get out in transition at all costs. You know, but I'm sure he would like their ball movement to be better, but you know, their ball movement is, you know, they're always trying to have side-to-side ball movement, and you know, athletes and size.
Shooting a lot of threes?
Same.
Okay.
You know, Love's their best shooter.
Yeah.
Get transferred from Campbell. I don't want to mess up how you say his name, but he's shooting a high percentage as well. Comes off the bench for them.
What do you think it'll be like to play them in a quote-unquote, I guess?
Well, the whole thing's weird, you know.
Yeah.
So I tell you, the players like playing in NBA arenas.
Yeah.
So, and look, for us, like, to me, this whole thing about neutral site games, I mean, you had asked this earlier. You know, the old days, that just didn't happen, right? You played home and homes. But the old days are the old. That's why they're called old days. The new days, neutral site games, NIL games. The good thing about it is the NCAA tournament is at a neutral site in big arenas. So, from an experience standpoint. But yeah, no, I mean, it's weird that we're not in the same league.
Yeah.
You know, extremely weird. But a lot of things weird this day and age, my friend.
Did Eric Daly get a 6 a.m. practice on Tuesday?
Yeah, well, I don't discuss things like that. But I don't even know what day it is.
Today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then I know you talked about Tyler Bilodeau's defense a little bit. What are some things that are popping up on film that, you know, he's standing out to you that he's struggling with?
Well, he plays two positions, so, you know, we do. So for him, he's the only guy on our team. I mean, our guards, you know, they're used to it. You know, when he's a stretch guy when he's at the 4, and obviously at the 5, it's a different thing. So defensively, it's very different. So it's the hardest on him, adjustment-wise. But he played obviously in a very half-court style. And they never pressured the ball. That's just not what they do at Oregon State. So this is the first time he's had to, you know, where he's never pressed in his life. He's never been asked to pressure anybody in his life, to be in a passing lane in his life. So it's just a big adjustment. But he's done a great job. You know, like sometimes when I say, well, a guy's got to get better, obviously I have high standards and I want him to be able to move his feet and play in the NBA someday. But his effort and attitude is always tremendous. But he's in a totally new system from a defensive standpoint.
On that shell-stead shot, was that Tyler who should have been stepping out, or Kobe?
Transition defense, which was our biggest concern against Oregon. You know, first of all, you can't turn the ball over if you're a veteran point guard.
Right.
And I'd rather you just throw it out of bounds so we could get organized. And that's the problem in that situation when you're on the run. Kobe's got to see that play coming and get out there. Now, in his defense, Tyler had been the guy blitzing that pick and roll in that exact same play. They had already run 7 times.
Right.
And on this one, Tyler was running back, so he wasn't out there in time. So hence nobody was out there. You know, this guy got destroyed by 2 guys. I mean, what's he supposed to do?
Right.
I mean, he didn't get screened by 1 guy. He got screened by 2 guys. So his teammates didn't get out there, and that's the problem with playing defense while you're running back.
Was there somebody said there was maybe Sebastian contributed to that missed box out on the rebound on the free throw?
He didn't pinch.
Okay. Yeah.
Little things, which, you know, are not little things. They're big things. Everybody else calls them little things. Everybody else worries about how much Johnny scored. You know, Sebastian's never got in a car as a kid growing up and somebody told him, you know, you didn't pinch on a free throw. Like, that's never happened to him. Happened to me because that's how I grew up, but, you know, everybody didn't grow up the son of a great high school coach.
Sky Clark's gone from leading scorer to a different role here. How has his attitude been?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sky Clark's attitude has been awesome. He's been through a lot, more than any young kid should have to go through in the off season with his father's illness. He's handled it like an unbelievable champ. He's handled the adjustment like a champ. He's our best one of the best defensive guards I've ever coached for a small guy. Attitude, he's one of the smartest players. I told you he'd make candidates to be a coach someday. He can definitely do it. He's extremely intelligent. His attitude is tremendous. Obviously, he's frustrated, I'm sure, with his shot making, but it'll come around. He's just got to keep working at it. But everything else, he's just been awesome.
Is he leading in deflections for you guys?
Well, Kobe's 1, he's 2.
Okay.
But it's very close.
Would you like Sky to look for his shot more?
He's looking for a shot. I don't think that's a problem.
You mentioned, you predicted
Might have been
that,
early,
Yeah.
but he's gotten out of that.
You predicted that Kobe could be an all-conference defensive player before the season. Are you seeing those things that you kind of expected to from him?
Well, not in the Oregon game. Not in the Oregon game. I think he can be. He's got to challenge himself to play with more discipline. Hence, the second foul. And then down the stretch, he's got to be a lot better defensively than he was down the stretch in the Oregon game.
When you see a guy like Eric Daly shooting 47.4% from 3, you think that's a function of smart shot selection? Do you want him to shoot more?
100% shot selection.
Okay.
100%. And so, Eric's shooting percentage is a product of his shot selection, his role on our team, and just X and O's, he ends up open a lot, and his work. It's like when you said something about him being in the gym, it's like on our off day, which was Monday, I'm sure he was probably here at 6 a.m. shooting, and then maybe again at 7 p.m. shooting. He's as dedicated as a player as I've ever coached. So a product of his shot making is his work ethic. GT, gym time. Like everybody thinks this is rocket science sometimes. A lot of it, I know this, it's hard to get better if you're not in the gym. Then we can get to what you're doing in the gym and all that, but a lot of guys, especially in this era when you put money in guys' pockets, there are nice dinners trying to impress UCLA volleyball players and girls basketball players and cheerleaders. Eric Daly's in the gym.
Did you know that about him before he got here?
A little bit, yeah. I know some of the people at IMG for a long, long time. And I knew Eric's dad. Mom was a coach. Dad is a trainer and a coach. So, I knew that's what he was about. And but once I talked to a few people, especially my man Rashad Phillips, that's an advisor for him. You looked him up, was a great player at Detroit. A really good player at Detroit. So we're from an area where toughness matters and work ethic matters. So when Rashad told me, that's when I really knew. Good enough, man?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Good enough.
Thanks. Yep.